Hey guys, I'm Ritika from the Ignite community team as of now. So basically, since I don't see any new folks, but let me just say it. So at Ignite, we believe in project-based building. So it's mostly project-oriented approach of learning. So today with us, we have Komal and she's had an incredible journey, and I really admire after like looking at her profile. So it was amazing. So it's basically the dream life of every Indian engineering student. So she started off with one of the top colleges in India for studying engineering. She's an alumni of NIT Warangal, and I think there's some disturbance from my end. Just a second. Yeah, so she's from NIT Warangal, and also she's been an employee at Microsoft from an intern to a full-time position and then transitioned to Google. She's currently working at Google, which is everyone's dream company, even my dream company. So we're really pleased to have you here with us today, and we're looking forward to learning a lot from you, at least all the folks who are with us today. So whoever has any queries and you've got questions, you can type them out in the AMA channel or you can unmute yourself and ask Komal directly here. So Komal, why don't you tell us something about yourself, a little bit in short?
Yeah, sorry for that. Thank you, Ritika, for such an incredible introduction. So, hello everyone, I'm Komal. Just as Ritika stated, I graduated from NIT Warangal in 2020. And other than adding to what Ritika said, I like sketching and painting and filling my room with amateur art. Even my wall is filled with amateur art. It's not very incredible to show off, but yeah, that's pretty much about me.
So Komal, I figured you're part of communities as well, and you admire learning with peers. So would you like to tell us how important it is to join a community and have a peer-based learning so we could get started from there?
Okay, so back in my college, I was a part of a club called CSEA. So it stands for CSE Association. And what we did was organize multiple activities to promote peer based learning. So I personally have been a part of many like groups which helped me learn a lot. When you pair up with someone and you start learning with them, firstly the uh, depression of learning in a silo and not understanding where you're headed and whether you're headed in the right direction, that just goes away. Secondly, you also get to learn from the other person. You understand their perspective of approaching the problem, and you get obviously you get to add on to your own perspective of learning. Your approach towards seeing the problem and probably breaking it down into multiple steps widens, and that is something which I've experienced a lot. Also, it becomes really difficult at times when you're stuck somewhere and you don't know whom to approach to. If you're learning with a community, you know there are people whom you can reach out to, and that becomes really, really helpful, especially at times when you have exhausted all your searching options and Google is not helping you out anymore. Even though there are solutions ready made available in Google, there are times when you don't understand them, and there you don't find someone who could explain you that as if you were learning for the very first time, right? So that's where this peer based learning becomes very helpful. The fact that I believe when I teach someone what I've learned, it retains in my memory for the longest time, right? And that is
I
something which
guess that.
yeah, one day before exam, I used to sit with many folks around me And what I had learned in the past 1 2 days, I used to tell them and explain them in a way that it is more intuitive for them to understand, and it is more like a sort of revision for me. So that has helped me throughout my college life and even previously. So yeah, that's how a peer-based learning actually helps, and this is the culture we wanted to incorporate in our college. So when I was leading the student community, I especially was like we as a team were especially focused on getting events which promote this kind of thing. So we organize
Depend.
multiple. Sorry, someone was saying something.
No, I think that was by mistake.
అక్కడ కలుద్దాం చూద్దాం మచ్చ నువ్వు ఖాళీ అన్నట్టు
Uh, Venkat, can you
ఒక
mute
సెషన్
yourself?
ఒక సెషన్ పంపిస్తాను.
I am so sorry, Komal.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah, you
So
can continue.
yeah, so we try to have multiple DSA sessions where we as seniors try to teach the juniors our approach towards DSA and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much about it.
That's really nice to hear. So it's really effective actually, peer-based learning. Like you said, you come up with different approaches and you get to learn so much from your friends actually. So I received a couple of questions on my personal DM. I don't know why people are shy asking it on the channel, but anyways. So there's someone asking, is it too late to start preparing for companies like students for the third year and all? So how did you go about preparing for the interviews and the placements college?
So in our college, the thing is like internships are given priority over placements because the probability of getting a PPO is higher as compared to getting a placement, right? So students mostly start preparing in their second years, after their second years during the summer break, and prepare for internships. And in our college, the conversion rate was pretty high. So when we were sitting for placements, the number of people who were already placed as a result of PPO was much higher as compared to the ones who were not placed, right? So that was the stats like. So in our college, the scene is that. Coming to your question, is it too late to start preparing? It's never late. Trust me, you can start even today. The point that you're starting today is important. Whenever you feel like you're ready to start your preparations, just start it at that time and giving your 100% to your placements. If you're studying DSA or you're doing some projects to strengthen your resume, to get more number of people like to get your resume screened through multiple interviews, uh, just start doing it today. And it's the action that matters and not the time when you're doing the action. And what I'd say is you're in just your third year or you've completed your third year? What
So
was the
there are
question?
folks from third year mostly over here. So this was a question from a third year student. They're also asking
Okay.
if you got any tips on DSA and placement preparation. So if you would like
I
to
got loads. I
spill
got
out the
loads.
secret sauce.
So what we did was we our like student community had us our seniors were very like great. They just hopped in. They had an 1.5 hour exhaustive session explaining what each of the companies demand, and depending on that, we made our preparation strategy. I'll summarize that for you in like high level. So what most of the companies go out looking for is your good understanding of data structures. They don't require you to solve the problem there and then. So they are asking you a tree question. They don't want you to give them the solution. They want you to approach the problem in a way that demonstrates your problem solving ability, right? Your thinking capability. The way that if you are given a new problem, you won't be mugging up the solution from somewhere and resolving it. Rather, you will approach the problem in a step by step manner. That is the main aim for any company you see. There are some companies which ask very difficult problems. There are most of the companies who ask medium to easy problems. I'll say Microsoft asks you easy to medium problems. When I come to companies like Dish or Uber, Google also, they ask you medium to hard level of questions, right? And depending on the company that you are targeting, you should strategize your placement preparation accordingly. So if you're targeting a company like Microsoft or Amazon, for example, they will mostly ask you questions regarding arrays, trees, not very much graphs. But if you're targeting a company like Uber, which is based on graphs, right? So they will ask you an exhaustive set of questions, mostly in the difficult range for graphs. So you should target your preparation according to the company. There are also some companies which require you to have a good theoretical understanding of concepts. Like there will be some companies which are networks based, right? And there are some companies which like Arista, and there are some companies which rely heavily on OS. Like if a Windows team is coming to hire in your college or an Azure team is coming to hire, they will definitely be asking you questions on OS and computer networks, right? So depending upon the company that you're targeting, you should specifically prepare. Given the fact that you're in your third year and you will have already completed courses like operating systems and computer networks, the companies will expect you to know some part of it. If you're not very comfortable with all of it, but at least you should show a good knowledge of it, right? And rest of it is obviously you'll keep learning on the go when you join the company, but you should be able to demonstrate the learnability, the fact that you have good understanding of your concepts, and the fact that you have good problem solving abilities. You might not reach the solution, reaching a solution is an added advantage. So yeah.
I think that was very insightful. And okay, so I am personally very interested in knowing how was your internship experience at Microsoft? How did you apply? And how was the complete feeling? And then getting the pre-placement offer and transitioning from an intern to a full-time role. I mean, it's so exciting. I can really imagine how nice it would have felt. So I would like to know, like, how is the experience, and if you could give us some pointers onto how we could, since we do not have much of pre-placement offers. So, like, how we could apply for if there are some other opportunities at Microsoft that even students from, like a little lower tier colleges, not the NITs and IITs, could apply for. If you're aware of anything, it would be great.
So there are multiple programs, I'll say. So one of them is CodeS. If there are folks who are in their second years, especially girls, they can apply for this. And I know there are many people who are from LPU and other non-IITs and NITs who have cracked these companies. And she was my co-intern, and she converted her offer full time. She also did a 6-month internship, and she's still working at Microsoft. Do not consider the fact that only IITs or NITs or any top tier college people get. If you have the skills, no company will deny you your opportunity
So
and
true.
your share of like internship. That is one thing which you should keep in your mind and definitely work towards building those skills. Coming to my internship experience, my interviews like were scheduled in the month of August in my third year beginning, and our placement team had coordinated all of that. And I was asked questions mostly on DSA. Some were on dynamic programming, but they did not ask you very heavily on dynamic programming. I was the unlucky set who got dynamic programming. Otherwise, there were 8 other sets who did not get dynamic programming. So I was the one unlucky one. So anyway, you will mostly be tested on your good knowledge of DSA and your problem solving ability, your ability to collaborate. So you will, your interviewer probably might give you some hints. Your target there is to take as little as hints possible and keep explaining your approach to your interviewer so that you do not come across as a person who sits in a silo and works and does not care about other people around. It should be collaborative in that way. Coming to when I joined the internship, so my internship was with a team called Forms Pro. So they basically, Survey Monkey, right? They take surveys from multiple people and give insights about how the customer is feeling. So Forms Pro is Microsoft's version of Survey Monkey. And what I worked on was probably building a multilingual feature so that you could translate your surveys very effectively from one language to another without having to actually do multiple clicks, right? In a single click, you could translate. So, my internship experience was less about the feature that I was building and more about the people whom I was building with. I had two mentors, actually three. My manager believed in the fact that you should always have two sets of mentors so that you, and one with a little less experience and one with a little more experience, so that you can get the best of all of it. And I worked on two features, so I got three mentors. One was my primary mentor and the other was a secondary mentor. And I got to interact with them, understand. They were all senior developers having 7 to 8 years of industry experience. And I got to learn so much from them, their approach towards solving a problem. I did not know what an API is when I joined an internship. What I knew was basics of HTML, CSS, and not even React. A bit of Django I knew, but that was all very not very nice. My understandings were mostly based on Stack Overflow answers. So you can understand what my understanding was. So
We
I did
all
not know
live
what
on
an
Stack
API
Overflow.
is. I learned so I learned what an API was. I learned how to use an API, what a post response or put response is, and I was using them. I didn't know I was using them probably, and learning from my they we had to solve a problem where we were making multiple API calls, and the problem was we didn't want to make so many API calls, so we had brainstorming sessions. My mentors were very helpful. They we used to sit even during my presentations. I remember. So we have this final presentation, right, where you present what you've worked on over the period of 8 weeks, and my mentors blocked my calendar free time to make me prepare for that presentation. That Komal, sit, we'll prepare you for your presentation. And even if I was telling no, I'll be doing it fine, they were like, no, sit, we'll prepare you, just sit. So they prepared me for the the final demo. So the people that I worked with were awesome, beyond awesome. So I've learned so much from them, from the fact that how to approach a problem, how to think about what are the pain points of customers that I should consider while designing my solution. What are the pain points of other devs that I should keep in mind while designing the solution? Probably while writing the code, I should make it more maintainable. When I started out writing code, I was writing for I is equal to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus, and some random string manipulations. My mentor came to me and told me, Komal, you're not writing good code, write object oriented code. And he went. I was like, I have learned object oriented programming. I know what are classes, I know what is inheritance, I know what is polymorphism. But I don't know to write object oriented code. How do I write object oriented code? So I went to my primary mentor. I was like, he told me, his name was Rahul. So Rahul told me that write object oriented code. How do you write object oriented code? Can you please explain? She's like, you taught in college, right? I was like, I am taught in college, but I don't know how to write object oriented code. So she sat down with me. She modified some of my procedure oriented code into object oriented code. She told me this is the way you write classes. This is how you should reference objects. You should not write string ARR of something something. You should not write all of that. Think in object oriented way. This is how you decouple all of your code and make it more like what do you say, object oriented. I'm using that term a lot. So yeah, that's when I understood that how to go about writing a good code, how to write maintainable code. I was also told that you can write some documentation to explain people. So I did not know, there are tools which help you draw the diagrams of your high level diagrams, low level diagrams for your entire like workflow, right? And I did not know there is a tool. So what I was doing is I was searching for random images on internet for Azure, and I was doing something, and I did not understand what to do. They sat down beside me and they're like, there's this tool called Visio. You open it. This is the icons that you drag and you drop, and they completed the diagram for me, and they're like, add it to your presentation. Even to the extent that towards the end of my like the day of my demo, one day before to that, I went to my manager to show him the presentation that I made. He modified the entire presentation. He's like, "Oh, you should not do like this. You should do, you should make it more like what, how and why, what, why, and how." So he changed the entire presentation into what, why, and how, and that's how my internship went. So I'm still like very
That's
thankful to
amazing.
them to having me.
I think mentors play a great role in our life, be it job, be it the student life, everywhere the teacher is the main, be it even peers can act as mentors. Like sometimes it's just,
Correct,
a
correct,
little more higher person who knows a little more can guide you better. So, on that
correct,
note,
correct.
let's just take a 2 minute break. And I see some of the folks who are not aware of what Ignite is. So, I'll just brush through a small 2 minute PPT and show them what Ignite is exactly. I'll just share my screen. Hopefully, my screen is visible.
Yep, it is.
Uh, that's visible, right?
Yeah, Ritika.
Yeah. So at Ignite, we believe in learning by doing in the real developer environments, and it is all guided by industry experts. So, like Komal said, it's very important that you have the right mentors, and it really changes your life when you get the right mentors. So at Ignite, we mostly project based, and there's a lot of hands-on learning that happens. And for every student, it's a plus point to build your portfolio while you're studying. And Ignite provides a platform for working in teams, which is great because you can learn a lot. And it's guided by the industry experts. Like, I'll just move on to that later. So currently, we have four running projects that are being offered by Ignite. One of them is data structures and algorithms. This is basically to improve the understanding of concepts of data structures. We also have a Python related project which works with Django in the backend, and it's mostly a sentiment analysis based on the feeds. And like the world is shifting, we are becoming more API oriented, be it the COVID applications or anything these days. So we are going serviceless, like microservice architectures. We are adapting to these things. So this is an on-demand course that Ignite is offering right now, which is building on APIs. We also are offering a front-end development course, which will always remain in 10, I could say, something like that. So it's mostly React JS oriented and Bootstrap and some other front-end technologies which are in demand. So mentors are the key, like I said. So we've got a team of great experts, all of whom are a part of Ignite and have tremendous industrial expertise. And so there's Gopal Sir, there's Nikhil Sir. Both of them were leading projects. Like they were the lead mentors at Ignite right now. Like even I was under Nikhil Sir for a couple of days. So, and we also have Bhanu Sir and Srinivas Sir. So amazing mentors. So let's get back to the discussion with Komal. So I've got a few more questions. Is there anybody who would like to ask anything? You could unmute yourself and leverage this opportunity of discussion with Komal. I don't think we're gonna get it again. Um, you could take questions on the AMA channel as well. Let me just check if anything's dropped in. Okay, we have a question from Monish, which is there a difference in the placement process for developer role and IT support services? Um, yeah, that's what it says. Um, Komal, you're on mute if you could unmute and ask. That's okay.
Sorry, sorry. I forgot. So, what I was saying is, I do not have a understanding of the IT support role. Sorry, I'm really sorry. Because mostly from our college, what I know is there are two, three profiles. The first profile is software development. The other profile is a business analyst, a data analyst, and all of these profiles generally visit our college. So I do not have an idea, although I could ask around folks and get more clarity on this and help you out offline probably.
Oh yeah, that would be great. We could, we could have a chat on the AMA channel itself since you're part of the server. Okay, so there's another question, which is, do the employers look for people who make better use of available software, something like open source, or do they look who can build on their own code? So, like writing code from scratch, is it appreciable, or it's fine if you just survive on Stack Overflow forever?
Okay, so I'll say the first thing is you can't survive on Stack Overflow for long. Fact that most of the companies have their own sets of documentation to do things. There are defined set of procedures that you need to follow. You need to collaborate with multiple teams who might be building, and you might be using their products which are very much internal to the company. So the more important aspect is how well you can learn all of that and how you can implement on all of that, right? So companies mostly look on that and decide whether or not to go forward with the candidate. So if you are someone who comes across as a person who can easily grasp on all those concepts easily and move forward, unblock yourself by without needing much of help. Initially, you might need much of help, but over the period of time, you become more and more independent. So that is what the companies are looking forward to. If you are an open source contributor, you have a huge plus plus in because open source is highly respected. Also depends on the kind of open source you're contributing to. If you're contributing to some GitHub repository which has 1 star or no stars at all and it is not even known, then definitely that is not an open source contribution that you will be counted for. But if you're contributing to large projects, like for example, if you're contributing to Flutter or you're contributing to Fedora, whatever it is, I don't remember the names. If you're contributing to these big open source projects, the fact that these big open source projects have big restrictions also. They require you to follow certain standards of coding.
Standards of
They
coding,
can
yeah.
would not allow you to check in any random code that you are putting in, or even if you're enhancing the readme, you have to go through multiple documentations to understand the entire project. So the kind of effort that you're putting in there is the same kind of effort that you will be putting in the industry. So that is why open source projects are highly respected and are a big plus plus in your resume. When it comes to the fact that if you're working in your own project, the quality of the project matters, right? If you're working on some project which adds no value to the society or no value to even like if it were to be converted into a product, no one would want to use it. And definitely that project would not add onto your resume. But if you're working on a problem which has been very prevalent and you're trying to solve a problem which is actually going to affect a lot of people, if it were translated into a product, the interviewer could probably find that project very interesting. And there are many instances of where the interview just got steered in the direction of your project. So there was one of my seniors who had completed a project after an internship or something she had done in her second year, and 2 rounds of her Microsoft interview were solely based on her project. They were asking more about her project. They wanted to understand how she went about solving it, how she collaborated with multiple people, how she went about understanding the solution, and what was her approach, what were the mistakes she made, what were the things that she felt she could have done better with respect to the project. So yeah, that definitely adds on to your profile. That way.
In case one doesn't have a good amount of projects or a really good internship, would it be considered as a negative point in any sense? We've got some question like that as well.
Mm.
No, nothing, right? Yeah.
No, definitely not. So, if I'll show you my peers' resumes, like we were making resumes together because we did not know how to make a resume, to be honest. What we were doing is circulating each other's resume. What did you write? What did you write? I'll also write that as my hobbies. Your hobbies are my hobbies. So, we didn't know what to do. So, there were many instances where no, there were people. So we had a DBMS project, right? And that was what we had to make you call it ERD diagram. What do you call it? I don't remember. Call it
It's all
something.
right.
So ER diagram, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
ER diagram.
We
Yeah.
had to make an ER diagram. Correct. We had to make an ER diagram, and that was the project that people mentioned in their resume that we have made an ER diagram. So don't worry, and they got into very good companies. When you do not have projects to steer your interview in, you only have your DSA and the other skills like OS and all, which you need to have good like understanding of data structures and operating systems. If you have either of them, both is a very big plus plus. If you have one good area, DSA is a requirement. No, you cannot skip that for anything. You cannot exchange it with project saying that you can't say an interviewer, don't ask me DSA questions, ask me on my project. Because this is how the industry works, right? Now unless there's a shift in mindset where people shift towards a more project based approach for hiring,
Approach. Yeah.
we need to at least understand what is DSA and how to go about solving those problems. So you need to have DSA. If you have a good understanding of DSA, I don't think you need projects, especially for on-campus interviews. For off-campus, having a project will help you get through the like door for the interview because there's a screening
Plus
that is
point.
happening, right?
Yeah.
And yes, so that is there. But if I'm talking about specifically on campus interviews, there are also scenarios where people did not have projects and they could easily crack the interviews because they had a strong understanding of DSA. But you need to have either of them.
Either of
Both is a
them.
plus plus.
That's great. I think it would have helped a lot of people here get an idea of how to go about. So we have a question on what's the importance of networking for students? Like, do you need to brand yourself, like create a brand name? Like these days, this is a trend. Like, you say Komal Y and everybody knows you. So people are trying to create a brand these days. So is it important? I mean, how does it play a role in your career wise?
So I am the worst person to answer this because I always like used to
Think so. I think your
stay
profile
in
is
a
really, I got intimidated, so it's pretty good.
silo. So I always would say like my networking was mostly with my seniors whom I knew, and I used to talk to them a lot. I used to understand how the industry works, how things work. But what I've realized when I came to LinkedIn was there are so many people who are networking so wonderfully. I need to learn a lot from them. So the fact that I then personally researched what is networking, how do you network, how do you send a note to people. I haven't practiced it, so I won't preach anything which I haven't practiced, surely. But networking definitely helps. I've seen instances where people have just showcased their project on LinkedIn and tagged the right set of people, and they got the role, right?
It's great.
Without
That's
having to interview. So that's the way you like go about changing the mindset of people from DSA solving 10,000 questions on LeetCode to actually like implementing your ideas and your perspectives to into a project. So I've seen people do that. I've also seen people who got opportunities to interview just because of their networking. There's a friend of mine who used to go to multiple conferences and talks, and he used to also go to these build events by Google and all. So there he met one individual. So he was from the US. He was working on a startup called, I don't remember what it was called, but it was basically they used to do data analytics on football teams, sports teams basically, and suggest the teams what their strategy of winning should be like and where they went wrong, what all of this analysis, right? And he is a sports enthusiast. He loves sports. He loves football, and he is also a data science enthusiast. He loves ML. He had done multiple research projects on ML. That's how you actually get connected to the right side of people, right? So he didn't take the offer because his parents didn't want him to go to the Silicon Valley so soon. So the other thing, that's a different story. But he definitely got to understand that there's a product out there where he wants to work for, right? Or the kind of product that he wants to work for. So that's how your network helps you to actually get opportunities. That's something that I would say.
I'd like to add on to that. So I think it's the best way to streamline, into something you're passionate about, and you can find the right people on social networking sites. So it's always good to network around, meet new people, and talk to them about your interests. So
Correct.
let's have a short discussion about life at Google. And being a Googler is something every student when they're preparing for IIT, I mean the JEE exams, we all Google life at Google motivation. So so tell us something about the life at Google and how things are there.
So I joined Google on the 7th, exactly 1 month before. And oh, it's 4th, right? Today. Sorry. It's barely a month. So I'd say life at Google is exactly how you think it to be, right? It's not something that just advertisements are showing you that way. It's exactly the same. The people there are awesome. Not that I'm not saying that Microsoft people are not awesome. Microsoft people are equally awesome. So life at Google, like people are awesome. You will find you can approach anyone at any time. You can ping them and they will be ready to jump in with you and help you understand. You find multiple avenues to find mentors. So there are coffee chats since it's all virtual now, or everything has shifted to virtual. You can find virtual partners over there. So you just sign up to a website and you'll be matched with a random person who is in Google and who have also signed up, and you get to have a coffee chat with them for 30 minutes, and you get to understand their like experiences from Google, and you get to learn from them. You also get to learn from other people. You get to work on a project as a part of an onboarding. You work with UX designers, you work with your engineering managers in your team, and you together work on a project which is spans for 3 weeks, and that project helps you understand the Google technologies. There are also multiple perks, benefits, everything that the video shows you of. Okay, so life at Google, I'd say probably when I'll join physically, I will be better in a better state to tell you how life exactly is at Google. But I'm told there are free massages, free spas, and people say that I wish we were there. There's also this onboarding program that I spoke of for 3 weeks. So if you join physically, it's at Singapore. I joined virtually, so everything is online. So I'm missing out on that
That's
also.
great.
So yeah.
So
Give me a moment, please. My battery is running out.
oh yeah, sure.
Sorry, you were saying something?
Yeah, so I've heard there are a lot of initiatives at Google that, have a very startup approach. Like they let individuals build on ideas and work separately. Like, you're given this a slot of time in the day wherein you could work on something which you are passionate about and you want to build on, and then Google supports it. So is that true? And is that how it works?
Yeah, yeah. So it's totally true. What happens is there is something called a 20% project. So what you can do is, if you have an idea which could potentially transform the way we look at technology, or any idea, for example, if you want to work for startups, you want to work for NGOs, you want to make something for them, right? You gather a set of people and call it a 20% project. So 80% of your time you can dedicate to your actual project that you're working on, and 20% of the time you dedicate to a project that you are interested in working on. You could also work on a 20% project which you like. For example, if you're interested in ML and you find that your team is not doing anything related to ML, so you work on a 20% project which is fulfilling and satisfying for you in the field of ML. For example, you work on search, you work on maps, you can work on cross teams, people across the geographies collaborate together in order to make this 20% project a proper thing. And Gmail is a 20% project. So it came into being because of those 20% initiatives. So people definitely take that 20% initiative as very seriously, and you are on your own over there. So you decide what should your timeline should look like. You get to collaborate with multiple people with whom you can decide. There are also some event based 20% project where you're giving back to the community, right? So there are some 20% projects which are based on organizing events for, we are called nooglers. People who join new at Google are called nooglers.
Okay, I
So
spelled it
to
wrong.
help a noogler
I said
navigate
Googlers
through
instead of Googlers.
so
Pardon me for
to
that.
help nooglers navigate. No worries, no worries. So, to help nooglers navigate through their initial days, because everyone understands, right, that you are overloaded with a lot of documentation, you don't know what to do next, everything is just stuck. You feel like you don't belong there. There are multiple feelings that come along with getting into a company like that, where you know there are only brilliant people coming. So, to help nooglers navigate through all of that, there is a community which contributes their 20% time to organize events to help them be more comfortable. There are everything. There are initiatives by nooglers to teach other nooglers. Right? So if I know Django or Python very well, I will teach others, and that is my 20% contribution. If I know, for example, the art of communication, the art of presentation very well, I teach it to the other noodlers. And you can subscribe to all of those live events and just get on. There's also something called TGIF, that is Thank God it's Friday, where there are live streams happening about the multiple things, the multiple products that Google is working on, and people just jumping in and talking about their set of demos, their products, their ideas. And if you find something interesting, probably you could find your 20% time over there. So.
I think that's amazing. It's incredible. I think we all are looking forward to being a part of Google someday. So this is insightful. This
Definitely,
is
definitely.
motivating. This like the cherry on the cake when they say that, you have an opportunity to work on something that is considered important and also, um, you're contributing to your passion as well. And if
Right.
it works out, I mean, it's plus one on one. So there's a question
You
from
all,
Moni.
by the way, you also, sorry, sorry, Jessica, to
Yeah,
interrupt
Komal.
you. I was saying there's also, by the way, you also get reimbursed to follow your passion. So one third of your whatever guitar lessons will be reimbursed.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
just that's another thing.
So, Monish has a question, which is, do companies allow Python in like during the coding rounds? So he's saying that
Yeah.
he's found a couple of companies where in the technical rounds they don't allow Python. So is it fine for people to continue coding in Python, or should they shift?
So, from what I know, there are many of my friends who only coded in Python, did not code in C++. But the fact that some companies don't want Python to be used is because Python comes in with a lot of built-in libraries. Right? You don't actually need to code many things, and you can just use the libraries, and the libraries would do it for you. companies want to judge you not based on your understanding of those libraries and your knowledge of those libraries. They want to judge you on the basis of how you can come up with your own solutions. So that is why most of the companies prefer C++ or Java, but there is no such constraint. Mostly companies are fine with your language preference and your choice of language. Fact that if you
Yeah,
can build a logic out of in any language, if you can build the logic, that is more important as compared to the language itself.
yeah, I think that answers Monish's question really well. So we'll be winding off this session with one last question, and this question is from my end. So you've been like you've topped your batch, you've been one of the top students, and now Microsoft, then Google. What next? Like, do you think there's something more, or there's something that you want to achieve more than this? We'd like to know that.
So I didn't top my batch. Like I was among some top 10 because our college used to offer this merit scholarship, and I didn't want to pay my fees, so I wanted that merit scholarship badly. So I didn't want to pay my fees was a different question. I had to like work also for the merit scholarship otherwise. So my only target was to get that merit scholarship. So I prepared ample, like just the right amount which I felt is enough to get that CGPA, which would get me that merit scholarship. That was the only, if you call that a topper, I'm flattered.
That would be considered as a topper only. So what's next, Komal?
And so what's next? As of now, I'm preparing for my MBA. I don't know, but I feel I am more of a people's person. I like listening to people's stories. I like to know the how, why of the problem, and how is something which can be figured out is something I feel. So if I know, if I'm solving a problem, I need to know the why, and that is more important to me. I felt that probably I should go in for an MBA, and for the past, I believe, 6 months, I've been only researching about MBA, and that is what I'm planning to do next. But let's see where life takes you. I don't know. So I've been barely a month at Google. Probably I like Google so much that I settled here at Google. So I really don't know. But I'm keeping my options open.
Nice to hear. And it was great connecting with you. We've learned a lot from this session. Sumitsa, is there anything that you would like to ask and anything in specific?
Not really, but thank you so much, Komal, for taking time out and talking to us. Thank you so much, Ritika, for hosting it. And it was really nice to kind of hear your experience. You very recent out of college and still have a lot of ambitions, right? I know you well. We have worked together, but it's always good to kind of see you from the other side of stuff. So thanks so much for taking the time out, and appreciate everybody who has joined on the channel here. And if you want to connect with us, feel free to use the Discord channel to reach out to any one of us if you have questions around the kind of projects that we offer. And we will keep hosting events like these. So feel free to invite your friends and fellow students who might be interested in such channels. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, that's it from my side. You can wrap it up, Ritika. Thank you so much, Komal, again.
So thanks
Thank
everyone
you for
for
inviting
joining.
me.
Oh yeah, Komal. I'm sorry.
Komal, I think
Go
that
ahead,
was
Ritika.
a great insights. This is Madhu here. So I think the students have probably got a lot of information from you. So one, I'm just telling to the
Yeah,
students,
as
like
usual.
if you observe, what Komal said as of on today's discussions, there were some key points which you guys also should have to stick on to it. Like,
Is someone speaking? Am I
Yeah,
unable to hear?
Madhusa speaking. Are you not able to hear?
can you hear?
Yes, I can clearly hear you.
Yeah.
Uh,
What I
and
was yeah, what I was trying to say here to the students is, considering the
No worries. Let me know when Madhu sir is completed.
Okay.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
is a lag in my voice, is it?
No, there's no lag, but I think at Komal's end, she's unable to hear what you're saying.
Okay,
Um,
cool, cool. So yeah, I was just trying to say to the students, like considering the points what Komal said with her experience, and she's just passed out 1 year back, and working in Google. So some of the key takeaways, what kind of decision she took, by some of the points was getting a proper mentor or connecting with industry experts or working on particular skills or project is very very important. So I think, since you guys are also third year at the right time, and this is the right time, and you're entering into final year. So this is the time where you guys have to make use of this time, in a very precise manner where you work on, building your skills, whatever, you have passion about, any kind of languages or projects or something. So I think you have to make use of it before you pass out of the college. So that will help you in building your careers. And to put it across, Ignite is at the same place where we are trying to solve the problem to students by helping them, by getting you connected with industry experts like Komal, and there are many more such events would be coming where we help you get connected with these mentors and understand their mindset. What are the milestones which they cross to climb the ladder in whatever positions they are, and also help you work on the actual projects which actually industry looks. And so that skills is something, and that is the biggest problem we are trying to help the future engineers. So you can always log into Ignite, and get into see a lot of what are the projects, upcoming events, and there'll be a lot more related to career. It may be technical skills events, or probably soft skills events, or like AMA sessions. A lot more events will be there. So get used to it, and grab as much as you can, and build your career or shape your career. I know this is the right time. So you can always uh, to find the updates, you can ask your friends, yourself, always on, we have a Discord channel, so you can come there, and you can get to know about the events as well. You can always look our page on LinkedIn and all. So you can you will be updated with events and all. So I think uh, it was a great event, Komal, to be honest, and students would have enjoyed it. If you have more questions to ask, you can always put it on the Discord channel, and we would try, Komal or someone else from our end would try to help you answer on those questions. Great, yeah.
Thank you so much, Madhusa. So, for Komal, let me just tell you, Madhusa appreciated your effort and time for joining us.
Thank you.
And if anybody has any questions, you all can always use the Ignite community server, and you can drop in your queries. And we would be here to help you out. And other than that, to sum it up, whoever couldn't hear Madhusa's voice in case of technical issues, so keep hustling, and this is the right time to hustle. And Ignite's got your back in case you're stuck anywhere. So let's wind off this session. And thank you so much again, Komal, for being joining us. And I would like to stay connected with you. This is really nice.
Definitely, definitely. Let me know if you all face any issues. Please feel free to ping me on Discord, on LinkedIn, wherever you find me. Just send me a request. And feel free to ask me any doubts at any time. I might not reply immediately in case I'm busy, but I'll definitely try to answer all your questions in detail. There is one question I remember which is pending, the IT support one. I'll try to get around and ask people if they know of anyone who could help me answer that question. But thank you all for taking the time out on your Sundays and coming and listening to this AMA. If you feel that there was any question which you had and couldn't ask because you were shy or something, anything, just feel free to ping me on Discord or on LinkedIn, anywhere that you feel comfortable. And thank you for having me. And Ritika, you were an awesome host. Didn't seem like your first time though.
It is my first time. Before we wind off, let's all whoever is okay with switching on their camera, we could just turn on our camera and take a snapshot. I think it would help ignite team to have
Capture the memories. Yeah,
yeah.
right. You're right.
Anybody else willing to step in? We would love to see the faces online. So I'm still waiting. If Apurva, Nikita, Harsh, GT, Jagat, Ashok, Patil, anybody wants to switch on their cameras. So everybody, thanks for joining in. I'll just take a screenshot and then we can wind off. Madhusa's photo came the other way around. I'll take it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
for
you,
joining in.
Ritika. It was, you did a great job, and yeah,
Thank you, everyone.
yeah.
Bye
Bye, bye.
bye.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you.
Bye,
weekend.
bye, bye.